Hello, it is Thursday, November 17th, 2022, and my name is Jeff Bruner, and this is another joint presentation with WiLS and ABC-CLIO. Really, it's mostly ABC-CLIO who will be doing the talking, but I have the pleasure of introducing our friends joining us from there. Today, we've got Pamela Renfrow, Alice Bryant, and Paul Webb, all from ABC-CLIO here to talk to us about American Mosaics and I think an almost brand new product, the Asian American experience. And with that, I am going to be quiet and turn things over to Pam. Pam?
Thank you so much for inviting us today. I'm going to share my screen, and you should be seeing a home screen of ABC-CLIO resources. This will have all 17 of our databases. Today, we're really going to focus on the American Mosaic series, which we are excited to announce now has 4 databases in the collection: the African American experience, the American Indian experience, the Asian American experience, and the Latino American experience. And these are a suite that work very well together. They are purchased separately, so you can pick and choose the ones that meet your customer needs. But they're really wonderful resources to have to supplement resources that you may have in United States history. And we're finding that more and more high schools are offering specific ethnic studies courses. And so I think that these are really are wonderful additions to your electronic collections to support those students in their United States history courses, as well as their ethnic studies courses. These are all historical and cultural approaches to historically marginalized groups of individuals throughout the United States history. These groups of people were instrumental in the foundations of our country, and what we're able to do by having these specific collections is not only to provide the historical background that we'd like to provide our students, but also very cultural background. So I'm going to open up several of the databases today. We will take a good close look at our newest database, but what I really wanted to point out to start with is that all of ABC-CLIO databases are structured and organized in the same way. So once you're familiar with one, it makes it very easy to understand the organization of all of them. We, of course, always have the search bar, and then we have a textbook type format in that we have time periods. And each of these databases go pretty far back in history, all the way up to current times. And we'll be taking a close look at several of these. But this is what I mean when I'm talking about that textbook kind of table of content structure, where these are considered to be themes. And then when we open up one of these themes, we get into a structure where we have a sub-theme with a background article. And each of these tiles, as we go through talking up today, each of these tiles are considered to be a complete topic center or a complete unit of instruction that can be used in a classroom. Let's pop back to this homepage and really look again at the structure of it. And I did want to point out that each of the databases has a how to use a database tutorial on the homepage. It's really a great way to orient students to the databases, to what's inside, how to utilize those for research purposes, as well as just for gaining that background knowledge that they might need. And then we have this wonderful section called the Academic Success Corner. And I think this Academic Success Corner is really where skills meet content. We know that students now, when they are working through their coursework in social studies, they're also being taught many of the skills that we would consider to be English language arts skills. And those social studies teachers are embedding those skills within the instruction. So this Academic Success Corner is a great place for students to come for that additional support that they need in developing those skills. So I'm going to open up researching just to show you, I think as librarians, again, these are the cornerstone of what we do when we are working with students individually or with groups. And so I think when you think about working with your parents and with your homeschool groups, as well as individual students, this is a wonderful place to come for those video type tutorials that a student might need. We have 3 new videos here on searching smarter. And so it really works with students on how to, get the results they need when they come into utilizing a database. But everything from, finding that research topic to working with primary sources is here. And then you'll find reading is also covered as well. And then I really wanted to point out these critical thinking skills. So all of our inquiry-based activities that you'll see within the topic centers are built on not only teaching content, but teaching these critical thinking skills, such as classifying, defining, describing, and summarizing. Those are foundational. Or, getting into the more specific critical thinking skills like analyzing, arguing, evaluating, interpreting. So I think this is a real plus when you're starting to showcase our resources and how to use those topic centers, why it's important, to use those inquiry-based activities. We're really going to focus on utilizing these skills. In this academic success corner, in a moment when we get to educator support, I want to make sure to let you know there are some lesson plans there that I think would work well for after school type programming for those study skills, as well as pointing those out to educators that may be using your resources as well. Information literacy, there's some new materials here, brand new, first time I have showcased them with WiLS, but there are wonderful video instruction and worksheet instruction around information literacy skills of confirmation bias, context and purpose, misinformation, disinformation, and that is available there. Lastly, when it comes to this educator support site, I want to point out primary sources. That is front and center of what we do as librarians, making sure that our patrons not only know what a primary source is, but making sure they're able to find what they're looking for. And we're going to do a search in a minute, but wanted you to see there are 2 new video-based tutorials here, as well as an additional primary source analysis guide that has just been added, oral histories, and we added that specifically to go along with oral histories that you will find within the Asian American experience. Ask a Librarian is here, and of course CLIO View, which is a statistical way of looking at information. And this is really important, I think, when it comes to the American Mosaics. It is available in each one of these databases. It allows students to come in and take a look at data that is listed by state and either compare a couple of states or compare a state to the national average. So for example, if we were to take Alabama and compare it to, say, California, we can choose our areas of the country, our geographic areas, and then we can compare across 3 categories at a time. So again, it's dependent on the database that it's in, what our categories would be, but here we are in the African American experience. So we're going to be looking at things like population, slave population versus free population at the same time periods. We can look at current statistics on high school diplomas, poverty level, insurance, voting information, how many people voted in the last election that are considered African American compared to the total population, unemployment, and the top 3 industries. So it's a great way for students to self-select what they want to look at as far as data. And again, that is in all of our American Mosaic series. Lastly, I do want to point out that each of our databases allow you, the admin of the account, to create research lists. Our editors have created several for you here, and they showcase at the bottom of your homepage. I'm going to open up slave narratives just to give you an idea of what this might look like within this database. These research lists are created in the educator support site, and you have the opportunity to put notes at the top, and then to pull together resources around projects you know that your patrons are doing, or events and history. So you're able to do that very easily and quickly and put those on the homepage. When you have a research list, it will list and link you directly to the resource. Wanted to point out, anytime you see a list or a search from us, you see the resource type and the time period that it came from. So these are slave narratives, and so you see those directly listed below. And then you can add in as well photos and illustrations. Here is an audio version of an interview with a former slave. And so the transcripts are given. Anytime you see an audio collection, you're going to have a full transcript as well as closed captioning. As we go through today, if you have questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. And we're going to come back to that homepage. So you have that same basic structure on every homepage: your search, your time periods, which is like a textbook. And then you'll have this academic success corner is the very same in every database, with the exception of CLIO View, and it's going to have very specific information. You have that specific video tutorial to the database, as well as research list at the bottom. So now let's take a look. Let's just kind of move around within some of these. I'm going to pop into the Latino American experience, and let's look at the quality of our content. So we are grounded in the publishing field. Our information comes specifically from books that we have published, as well as content that we have asked experts to write for us, or that we have curated from universities or museums, things of that nature. So when we come in, we're going to take, I've opened up the Latino American experience, and let's take a look at, let's do a search in our search bar. And we're going to look up Cesar Chavez. So I'm going to do just a generic search without really targeting any specific type of resource, so you can take a look at what that looks like. So I have a result here of 219 results. And again, I want to point out, we really try to make our results where it's easy for a student to understand what they've received in this research, this search they've done, and to know whether or not they want to open up that item. So if it is a primary source image or a primary source document, anything that can be visual, you'll notice there is a thumbnail of that item where the students could take a look at that. Here we have a facts and figures, which is information in a table format. I'm going to open that up because I love our facts and figures. This is a skill in itself, that students are able to read this information in a table format. And so it's like, you know, taking a look at these. What you're going to find with all of our resources, we have the same tools that are going to be available to help the students work through utilizing this piece of material here, this resource that they have. How do they unpack that? So we have a translate feature that's going to translate that into whichever language they would prefer. There's a listen feature where they can listen to this being read to them. And then in many of the languages that it translates to, it will also read to. Here I am logged in as an admin, you'll see I have an add button where I can add that to a research list. Your patrons would not have that button. Full citations are given here for each piece of information. So you're going to notice that we do export to EasyBib, Noodle Tools, and RefWorks. We provide all three styles of citation. And as an admin to your library, you can choose which style will be displayed automatically at underneath. As I come down to the bottom, you see this is a very long table. Let me come down to the bottom without trying to make you so dizzy. But you're going to find at the bottom, you do have the citation of your choice. So we have this account set up for MLA, but if you can set yours up for APA if you'd like to, but you can see all the citation styles very easily by clicking that. I wanted to also point out, with each time that you open up an article, and I'm going to apologize for choosing something that was so long, that you do have information on the left side. So we know that most individuals, when they do a search, they find what they're looking for, they open it up, and they may just stop their search there. So what our editors have done is they have provided some foundational materials here in the left-hand side, additional information, biographies, timelines. If I go to this biography on Cesar Chavez, you're going to see the same thing is happening here. I have a biography, but in addition, there are reference articles. There are articles that are hyperlinked within the article. There are also primary sources, imagery and documentation put within the article. So you'll see that really thorough research and goes into just opening up one article, a lot of information handed to the students, glossary terms. So as a student's reading and they're, don't understand what boycott means, they can pop in and take a look at that. So just wanted to point out that the tools that are available with every article, and then with every search, the type of materials that you get, it just goes on and on. So a student can do that one search and just come back in and find a wealth of information available to them. You also can do, when you do a search, you also can filter. So I wanted to point out that our content comes in various formats. So I did a search very easily here. I got 219 results, and I can now filter that if I would like to. So if maybe I just really am interested in taking a look at a timeline, an audio, and a speech, then I'm able to filter those results and to fine tune what I'm looking for. So it just allows me to come in and fine tune that. I also can do a search by time period and type. So I'm staying in Latino right now, but if I would like, maybe I want to focus on speeches during the time of the Chicano movement, I can come in and see if ABC-CLIO has any speeches during that time period, and we did not. So maybe I want to broaden my search a little bit and look for early Latino movements. I can go in and take a look and change my searches. So it does allow you to look for very specific items during a specific time frame. So let's pop in now and take a look at our new Asian American experience. I think you're getting the gist that each of our databases are going to cover the time period from pretty far back in history, depending on the group, up into current times. So I'm going to pop in and we're going to look at the example of a topic center in the Asian American experience. So when we look at time periods, we're in the Asian American experience, and just to kind of give you a little bit of background about this, our newest database, our editors felt like it was time that we added this to our collection. Asian Americans are the fastest growing ethnic group in the United States. And so what you're going to find here is really in-depth coverage of key subjects and curated content. Some of the information here comes from the Angel Island Immigration Center. The East, Southeast, and South Asian groups are all covered here, Pacific Islanders. So 21 different ethnic groups are covered. The historical migration, religion, art, literature, economics, festivals, sports, current issues, as well as current challenges unique to these ethnic groups are covered within the Asian American experience. So when we take a look, I want to take a close look. We mentioned the topic centers are in that textbook time type of setup. So I'm going to open up immigration. And so you can see we're looking at this time period, the 1880s to the 1930s. And we're going to come in and take a look at Angel Island. So again, this tile is considered to be a complete topic center. So with a topic center, again, you're going to have all the tools that you have with every piece of information in our databases. You start with an overview article and a primary source image. So these images are great to start, some discussion. So I can see you utilizing these in your in-library programs. These are great tie-ins to literature that you might be promoting as well. And so you have this wonderful primary source image, and then you have a very brief article. It's enough information to get that high school, middle school student started on the topic. It's not a real lengthy article. To me, it's the perfect length. And again, you have the additional links within each article. And then we have additional articles and information here, which we consider to be topic essential articles and information. And I love the fact that you're going to see poems and a lot of cultural materials within these databases. And then we have activities that are inquiry-based activities, and also activities that bring in other areas such as literature and poetry. So this is a wonderful activity that discusses poetry of the Angel Island detainees. And so it's a wonderful full activity that I think would work very well to assist students with learning about this, and whether they do this independently, or this could be something I believe that you could do in your library as a full afternoon activity. You have a worksheet, which is basically a graphic organizer where you can collect that information. Students can look at the sources in the text set, analyze, bring in their information, and then work on formulating a response to the question. A wonderful variety of information here with a reference article always given to provide that foundational materials. So I want to show you next that with each of these databases, you're going to find that there is an educator support site. So this would be something that you might want to provide to educators that utilize your resources. And they would get there by clicking on Curriculum Guide. You would need to provide them with credentials for educators. It would be different than the patron's general login information. So you would want to provide them with that. And what they're going to get when they have that is they're going to be able to come in and to get key questions. They're also going to be able to see research lists that have already been prepared for them. So with these research lists, these are already put together. So this might be something you would want to utilize to put on the home pages of your databases. Again, they're going to be very specific to the database. You'll notice when I came into curriculum resources, I came in through Asian American experience because that's where I was working. So it brought me in right where I was working. So this is a research list on Angel Island. I'm able now to take that and I can export it, making changes if I'd like. There's a tutorial here to show you how to do that, but this is a real easy way to utilize the database fully by putting those research lists on the homepage. So I'm going to this is the homepage of the educator support site, and it has some very useful information for you. I want to show you some of the features. You can have a drop-down menu. You can pop into any of these resources that you'd like. I'm going to pop in. We haven't looked at the American Indian experience, so I'll pop in here and take a look at this. Again, this is a guide for you, the librarian, and any educators that are patrons that you'd like to provide access to. This allows them to come in and take a look at any planning resources that are available and lesson plans. So that's very important for teachers to always have some new lesson plans. So I wanted to point out, when we were looking at that academic success corner earlier, I mentioned that with the Search Smarter, there were lessons that you go along with that. And that would be these 19 academic skill lessons. And those skills lessons are the same in every database that you subscribe to. But they really do delve into, again, those items that librarians really are important. They're real important to you. They're something you're tasked with teaching a lot, talking about plagiarism, searching, active reading, those types of things. So those are those academic skill lessons. And then there are bell ringers. And I think these would be really fun activities to do within the confines of libraries, as well as pointing these out to your educators that use the resources. These are meant to be done at the beginning of a class. And so they're just meant to spend 10, 15 minutes on they incorporate primary sources and thinking strategies as well. So this one is called Headlines. It is on, the image itself is of the Crazy Horse Monument. Each of these, of course, you can enlarge these, and if you wanted to print them off, or you could have them on your screen. But this gives you everything you need to do the activity, the action, ways to adjust. And then my favorite part here is that it's a way to connect history to the past. I mean, history to the present, I'm so sorry. And you're able to do that, and it gives you an example of what you can ask students to do and how you can extend this to make this really relevant for your students and how they can see connections. So I think that's important. Another thing that I think you would be really interested in within this curriculum section are the activities for students that you can search. So all the activities are actually in the student database, but this allows you to search them in very specific ways. And I specifically wanted to point out that within these, we have focuses on literature and film. So I'm going to filter and showcase those. So we have within each of the databases, there are novels that have been chosen and that we generally are read within that high school time frame. And it provides activities for the teachers to utilize with their students, but also wanted to focus on these films because I thought this might be something that would be, that you might think about within your library programming. These films are on YouTube, so they're available to everyone. They are not found in the database. These are films that our editors have reviewed and feel like that are information that might be helpful for students. And it gives you everything that you would need. It gives you activities, and it does go through and talk about any issues that you should know about before you show them, why it's worth watching, those types of things. Of course, with all of our resources, we leave the choice of what you choose to use to you. We provide the content, so, and some background information. But I did want you to know about those features because I think they are very helpful as you start utilizing the content. Additionally, in this educator support, you have it's a mirror of what's on the student database where you can see the time periods that are covered. So these are the same time periods that are within the student database. So if you wanted to start doing some planning, you could do that from here. I always like to point out some of our most recent items. And I think what we'll do now is pop back into the student database. And we're going to come back in where we were in the American Indian experience. And I wanted to take a look at some of the most recent topic centers of each, and we'll start thinking about wrapping up. If you have questions, again, please let us know. So some of the most recent additions to the databases, and I wanted to pop into Modern Native Nations, 1988 to the present. We do have a topic center on Native American mascots. And then we have a couple of brand new topic centers I wanted to point out. One is on language preservation and renewal, and the other one is on modern reservation issues. And I think those are important. to point out to you there. And then I wanted to go back into, let's pop back into the Latino. You see, it's very easy to move around within the databases that you subscribe to. So my list has the full 17. Your list would have whatever you subscribe to. So I think that it's for ease, it just really makes it easy to move around. There's a couple of new databases, topic centers here. In this section, one would be on unaccompanied minors. And then recently we also added a section in on Spanish exploration in the American Southeast. So those are some of the new ones if you are a subscriber. I wanted you to be aware of those new additions. So that's just kind of a quick look at the American Mosaic series. Again, our newest being the Asian American experience, which again is going to cover from the 1500s all the way to current issues. Let's open up the latest theme section. Is talking about COVID-19 and some of the issues that grew out of that pandemic for Asian Americans, as well as the way Asian Americans are represented in pop culture. So I think you can see just from some of the examples that I have provided and just with what you see opening this last section up, that we really look at not only that historical background for these individual groups of people, but we also look at cultural backgrounds as well as current issues that these groups are faced with. If you'd like more information about the American Mosaic series, please contact us and we'll be happy, and Jeff will be happy to set up a trial for you.
Thank you again, Pamela, for another great overview of a couple of really cool resources and things that we actually have a lot of members looking at now. We just had one K-12 library just buy into all 4 of the American Mosaics just this last week. So it's a popular, and it's growing in popularity as well.
Very good.
So I'll echo Pamela and say, if you need any more information, want to know more about the resources, get a trial, get a quote, please reach out to anyone here at WiLS or anybody here on the call now from ABC-CLIO. We're happy to help you in any way we can.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for watching, and thank you to our friends from ABC-CLIO for joining us today. I hope you have a great evening. Bye all.